Galactic Wars, Betrayal of the Universal Mother of Life. This narrative continues through the eyes of a cloned Syrian Anunnaki reptilian named Saam, stationed in the second harmonic universe, enduring the massive backlash of the Orion Wars, in which many generals are gathering their armies to finally destroy the Universal Mother of Life principle throughout this solar system, known as Tiamat. Saam is deeply conflicted about the orders for annihilation, as his blood holds the memory of his mother goddess on Tiamat. He is fascinated with amphibian-related genetics that he shares with a cloned reptoid sister, who is later revealed to be the figurehead Isis. In the frenzied rage of his Belial father's orders to grasp total power in the solar system through the complete destruction of the Universal Mother of Life principle, these reptilian armies believe the patriarchal masculine to be infinitely superior rulers, whereby they intend to annihilate the existence of the Mother of Life and her solar goddesses that have been initiated into the mysteries of the universe by the Anuhazi Mua. Further, seizing all of the Cosmic Mother's stored knowledge in the Emerald Crystal networks as collected from the Cosmic Hall of Records, thereby gaining access to the most advanced technologies of the ancient builders' records and Emerald founder schematics of the universe that were being protected and housed within Tiamat's White Sun diamond core. During the Galactic Wars, the utter destruction left in its wake was that those consciousnesses of assorted species that fell into the lower harmonic universes via suction through a black hole were genetically mutated and rapidly digressed in such ways they lost their longer lifespans, as well as the knowledge of their ancient origins and previous histories. Unfortunately, these and other tragic events that spawned the emergence of Metatronic reversal and its manifestations of anti-life evil were combined with immense frustrations of many advanced reptilian species having been displaced or wandering about the solar system, such as some of these factions of the Syrian Anunnaki that further accumulated into negative behavioral mutations that were expressing excessive violence towards conquering other species, who were being directly influenced and falling into the psycho-spiritual warfare controls as designed under the Wiesen Borga's victim-victimizer broadcasts. The once noble and peaceful Sirius A races of the second harmonic universe descended quickly into the desperate use of artificial intelligence and advanced technological machinery to generate cloned individuals and cloned armies for serving a variety of job-oriented purposes and populating the organizational ranks. The incessant reoccurrence of cloning and genetic modifications over time unraveled into assorted examples in the timeline trigger events of malicious and violent destruction, in which extremely perverse and sadistic distortions of an emergent evil nature began to infiltrate into many worlds, which were being invaded by neighboring black hole entities and reptile insectoid species that willingly mutated themselves into AI hybrids and clones in exchange for an immortal lifespan and superpowers. Not long after, like the Zeta races, these Syrian Anunnaki factions lost their ability to incarnate into an organic planetary biology that requires compatibility with the planet's world soul, and instead became shadow beings or shape-shifting consciousnesses that had to have genetically labbed bodies made expressly for them in order to have a physical body that functioned at all. It should be obviously stated that these cloned bodies cannot ascend or evolve naturally. It is impossible for them to open dimensional doors without angelic human beings that have retained some of their inherent spiritual light body connections to the planetary world soul. Thus, it is important to remember that Saam Enki was himself a hybrid clone, made from his Syrian Anunnaki reptilian father's genetic lineage of Anu, holding the cellular memories from electrical wars, Pleiadian and Nibiruan invasion histories in which these species were aware of the slow descent into chaotic darkness that was engulfing some species through genetic digression. Thus, the original motivation from Saam Enki's perspective as a master geneticist can be considered as rational with some glimpse of sanity, as at this stage he seems to be unaware he was designed by his father to become a Luciferian Antichrist force purposed to exterminate all founder Christos genetics and conquer Earth for his Syrian Anunnaki brethren. Instead, early on, his primary motivation appears to be the noble cause of attempting to save his preferred genetic lines and reptilian-based species from utter annihilation from those black hole invaders coming from the parallel reality that had made aggressive war against them. In these galactic wars, they also lost many of their family members, who were lost somewhere across the matrix and possibly descended into a black hole or sucked into a phantom matrix. However, the origins of the ancient Syrian Anunnaki reptilian lineages, groomed by black hole entities as a genetically modified Antichrist race to oppose and exterminate the Emerald founders, was indeed clarified. It points to the history of constant genetic modifications run by the Belial group, still quite active today in advancing their transhumanist cloning and AI hybridization objectives, which become clear when researching the contents of recent bioweapon injections, along with the formation into the Enki armies of shape-shifting reptoid Syrian Anunnaki entities as reproduced originally from the patriarch father Anu DNA, then inserting Saam Enki Osiris later on as a clone of the triple solar masculine principle, designed to be in service to the ongoing conquests of the reptilian-based genetic species by asserting their warring domination and mind control throughout the universal time matrix. Thus, in the warring ideology of the rising patriarchal mindset and AI hybridization forming in the reptilian Belial group, the cosmic mother and triple solar daughter principle would have to be destroyed at all costs. The covert agenda of Father Anu cloning himself as Saam Enki Osiris was revealed with the stark purpose to completely destroy Tiamat, the Christos Sophia, and the cosmic Elohai founders. Saam's design and fate was not relayed to him up front. He was ruthlessly ordered around by his father and colleagues and expected to carry out his programming as a master geneticist with threats of suffering and penalty of death, which reveals the source of his fascinated terror and genetic obsession to find an immortal body to inhabit to free himself, finally finding the right combination with the mother's line of Ruby Sun DNA that was also used to spawn the Nephilim. Saam Enki Osiris became the prominent figurehead, groomed to be the instrument of carrying out the massive task of destroying the mother of life principle, Tiamat, along with the ongoing genocidal plan at the manipulations of his Belial father, Anu. He took his own autonomy in order to perfect his geneticist skill sets which sometimes went against his father when he sided with the high priestesses of his own reptilian lineage, such as his cloned sister. However, Saam Enki Osiris further cloned himself into Marduk, who finally became the ultimate destroyer of the Tiamat Logos, and then subsequently conquered Nibiru, turning it into the Battlestar headquarters for organizing the growing cloned Syrian Anunnaki armies, both Enki, Enlil, and the Zephalim, which are hybrid Zetas, orchestrated by Saam Enki to run the Nibiruan bases set up all over the planet and solar system. Sadly, through the development of ongoing warring strategies of exterminating those species not under his genetic control with the multiple series of Enki DNA modifications, over thousands of years this cloned entity digressed into the anti-life evil incarnation of the devious Luciferian master geneticist for the Belial sons. He appointed himself as the god of the earth, Enki, which was further exploited during the Sumerian Egypt invasion. The Sumerian tablets contain some of the propaganda of the greatness that is described as Enki, with credits given to him as the creator of all. The narrative continues that he is the creator of humanity, being the grand architect or even the master mason of the world. During the timeline of this self-appointed reign, his consciousness is increasingly mentally fracturing into more subpersonalities, while he is populating fragments of himself into the demonic shadow hierarchies forming Red Trident, as the descent of his consciousness is plummeting into total incoherence and insanity. He is fully obsessed with artificial intelligence experimentation and perpetually cloning himself into other species' genetic material in a crazed fury of wanting total control over every last minutia of the collective human race and planetary activities under the direction of the controller hierarchy, along with the sudden violent outbursts of infantile projections of his own glorified exaltation when accessing creator godlike powers in which to control the timelines and genetically modify humanoid beings intentionally made with the embedded synthetic language recorded in his DNA image, as the clones he has designed are becoming defectively violent and increasingly perverse with every next generation of offspring.